Good afternoon, everybody. We're here at DMEXCO 2015. We're on the M&M Global TV studio. It's our last interview of the day, and our lucky subject is Mike Greene, who is the GM of Global Supply for AudienceScience. Mike, how's your day been so far at DMEXCO?
Day's been wonderful. It's an amazing event. There's nothing else like it in the world, and I've learned a lot.
Okay, and have you been to any of the content in the main Congress Hall behind us?
I've not been in any of the content today. I mean, for people like me, DMEXCO is really an amazing networking opportunity. So many of our partners across the globe are here in one place, and we can talk to them about what's going on with their businesses and get new ideas that we can take back to our business to drive our success forward for our clients.
Okay, so it's all about networking for you. So is that visiting people on different stands, or is that kind of meetings you have pre-prepared?
It's visiting people on different stands to learn new things and learn about new companies, but also reconnecting with our existing partners. So we work with dozens upon dozens of companies represented here on a global basis. So it's a great opportunity for us to reconnect with them, hear what they're up to, and bring their latest and greatest back to our business.
Wonderful. And do you think I suppose the exhibitors here, the delegates here, do they represent the kind of key trends and insights in the digital and the programmatic space this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one trend that stuck out to me is this very strong convergence that we're seeing between the online and the offline world. So connecting offline sales to online targeting, offline modeling to online audience profiles, starting to bridge that gap between the digital and the physical world. That's been a big challenge for marketers historically, and I think today we're starting to see a lot of the vendors represented here begin to help brands accomplish just that.
And I suppose that is a huge thing to do, because obviously now if you like, the cookie has crumbled. People are using different devices at different points of day and using possibly just one to purchase. Yeah. So not only do you have to track that consumer there, obviously you're having to take that digital environment, like you say, and put it into an offline environment. So I see what we see a lot of now is digital companies are now opening physical stores. So, the likes of Amazon are starting to open actual physical stores. Is that a thing that you think is going to occur more and more often?
Yeah, so broadly what I see is this very strong convergence between, let's call them the traditional online advertisers, very direct response oriented, and the traditional offline advertisers, very brand oriented. So if we look at what's happening with the online traditional e-commerce players, they're increasingly worrying more and more about their brands, right? They're opening up offline presences, they're trying to generate differentiation and margin via building their brand. If you look at what's happening with the old offline players, the fast-moving consumer goods companies of the world, auto companies, yes, they're selling more online, but they're also, even for their offline sales, becoming much more performance-driven how they think about their media. Every dollar, euro, pound is now accountable for driving sale, not just building the brand. And that's a big step change that we've seen in a really short period of time, and something that's definitely represented here today.
Oh, really? And you think this is, do you think this represents the globe and how the globe is moving from a media and a marketing perspective?
Yeah, certainly at AudienceScience we operate as a global organization. We operate across North America, Latin America, Europe, and Asia. So we have a pretty good sense of the trends that are happening. And it's not exactly the same every place in the world, right? Capabilities differ, marketing culture differs, the consumer differs dramatically. But that being said, especially amongst our global client base, what we see is these companies trying to create a consistent set of best practices that they can roll out globally. And yes, maybe the capabilities are a bit different in, say, America or the UK than they are in, say, China.
Yes.
But the progress is definitely there, and the direction is definitely there to merge those offline and online worlds.
And do you think there's one particular region, you touched on it there, you talk China, we could talk Latin America, is there one particular region in the world that really is getting it and really understands it more than anywhere else?
Look, we've seen tremendous advancement in Western Europe in a very, very short period of time. I think historically, everybody's kind of looked to America, the States, obviously. I'm originally from, with my accent, as the drivers of ad tech innovation. But if you look around the room today, there are probably hundreds of European-based companies that are driving innovation, right? And the programmatic market doesn't look the same in every single country, and that's represented here as well. So Germany looks radically different, even from the UK where I live now.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and I think here at DMEXCO, you really get to learn about those differences and appreciate those differences, and it helps us educate our clients in terms of how they need to approach these markets.
Yeah, and who do you think really holds the power now in today's programmatic world? Is it the brand? Is it the agency? Is it the tech company? Who do you think, or is it an equal split?
Look, it's the people who've held the power have always held the power, and that's the brand. Now, whether they've been empowered to exercise that power, that's another question altogether. But increasingly we're seeing brands and advertisers look to take back more control and ownership over advertising more generally and technology in particular. So I think we're seeing a real shift in terms of lots of technology companies here, lots of agency people here, but I think the most important people in attendance at DMEXCO are the brands themselves, because they're the ones who, at the end of the day, control the money, control the allocation, and will drive all the innovation forward.
Absolutely, and obviously you work with brands and agencies. However, have you seen your work increase directly with brands, or would you say most of your work is via agencies?
So all of our business is actually directly with advertisers.
Okay,
we sell directly to brands. That being said, we work very closely with the brands' agencies to help enable their campaigns and make them successful. So it really requires a close partnership. Agencies have a critical role to play in terms of setting overall strategy, building intelligent plans, operating across multiple screens. I mean, there are areas like television that we're just scratching the surface in terms of how technology can touch. So the agency still plays a really important role in helping the brand bring all the pieces together. That being said, brands and technologies are, especially in our case, working very closely together on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. It's an interesting mix now, isn't it? Because you look at some of these. We had a big discussion earlier where we were creating a programmatic ecosystem. We were trying to create one. And we actually looked at how you define people. So almost, actually you've got a brand, and then we decided that there were media agencies, and rather than trading desks, it was the kind of programmatic specialists, and then the brands that have taken things in-house. Do you think brands that are beginning to take stuff in-house and are using your technology, for example, can that only be the brands that have the massive global spend, or could it be the smaller brands and advertisers as well?
So what I see today is a market that's really bifurcated. You have the really large, massive global advertisers, the people that work with companies like AudienceScience, that's where we really focus. They're bringing this stuff in-house, right? Because they realize they have such spending power and they can exercise it programmatically in an intelligent way. But then we're also seeing really small, nimble brands start to use many more self-service, lighter weight technologies to push their spend forward and make it work harder for them. Where I think we're going to head over the next couple years is that middle is going to take more and more ownership. So we're going to see some of those more mid-sized brands, some larger brands that maybe openly operate in one or two markets begin to embrace this technology as it gets easier to use and more accessible.
And do you think as well, you talk about the ease of the technology, easier to use, more accessible, do you think also amongst that is the fact of transparency as well? Do you think brands are actually, we're controlling our first party data, and this is what we want, we can see who we're targeting, when we're targeting them, where they are?
Yeah, so I think about two things. So I think when we talk about transparency, I think about price transparency, which is a huge driver in the market right now, especially amongst those largest advertisers, right? They have the biggest budgets, they have the most to lose, so they're paying a lot of attention to this. But then you also hit on a really key point of operational transparency. Where are my ads running? How are they performing? Am I getting the type of granularity of insight that I need to really optimize performance and take that insight and use it to influence things like creative or offline media planning? And we're seeing smart brands ask for that as well. So taking into account both price transparency and operational transparency, I think is critical, and the big trend we've been seeing in the market, I think for the past 18 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very interesting. We only had the Group M and the MediaCom situation in Australia, which really kind of shook the industry in terms of transparency. And you see more and more brands are kind of actually wondering where they go and what they do. I suppose from an agency perspective, you've got all that expertise and you've got someone who actually can do that work for you, because it's quite a big game to kind of set it up internally on a brand, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Certainly technology is there to make it easier.
Yes.
Right? And at the end of the day, smart marketers will take advantage of smart technologies. That being said, for many brands, there's so many elements of this that are brand new. It's new technology, it's a dynamically changing ecosystem. So they always need somebody to guide their way. So one of the things we focus on a lot with our clients is not only just providing them technology, but also helping them educate them on the marketplace so they can take advantage of it in an intelligent way. It's not as easy yet as clicking a button, and that's just a factor of we're in a time of massive change, and that's completely normal. But marketers who start now and start learning now and getting intimate with the technologies now are going to have a huge head start over those that just wait.
Indeed they are. And you mentioned briefly their creativity as well. Do you think now it's the ad tech companies that are actually driving creativity in the industry?
Look, humans still have to create creativity. Humans have to also drive the insight that creates creativity. That being said, technology has a major role to play in terms of surfacing the data and aggregating the reporting necessary to drive those insights. But at the end of the day, the human factor is still essential here. We can't do without it. And you just look around all these people in this room, and it's abundantly clear, yeah, there's a ton of technology involved in this industry, but people, especially creative people in the brands, really matter too.
And what do you think are the biggest challenges to the success of programmatic over the next kind of 12 months? Where do you think the issues might arise from, and what are going to be the key drivers for it going forward in the next 12 months?
Certainly top of mind for us and a huge priority for us as a company is a resolute focus on ad quality. Certainly over the past 6 months, we've seen advertisers become much more conscious of problems with viewability, ad fraud, bot traffic, and other related issues. This is something we've been monitoring for quite a long time. Technologies to monitor and attack these things have gotten much better, but the problems in the marketplace still persist. So I think to us, it's a major focus area, and to brands that we speak to as well.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks
for
your
a great
time.
conversation.
Yeah.